Here's the pass exactly as you provided it, copied without changes. If you've ever walked into the Winchester House gift shop during the day, you'd think it was one of the friendliest places in San Jose. Bright lights, tourists laughing, the smell of cedar from the shelves full of souvenirs. But I started my shift after hours. At 10 p.m., when the last guest is long gone, the tour guides have locked up the mansion, and the courtyard is dark and silent. That's when the gift shop feels different. It was my first night, and Harris, the night manager, barely looked at me as he handed over the keys. He was pale, tired looking, and had that kind of quiet voice you almost lean toward to hear. Inventory sheets on the counter. Check the floor, restock if you need to. Lock up at 6 a.m. easy. He slid a laminated card across the counter. At first, I thought it was just the usual closing rules, but there were only three. 1. Keep the front mirrors turned away from the floor. If you hear tapping, ignore it. I half laughed and asked, "Some kind of ghost tour gimmick?" Harris didn't laugh. He didn't even smile. He just looked at me for a long second, then at the mirrors along the far wall, before finally walking out without answering. The shop was silent after he left. Not just quiet, silent. No distant street noise. No hum of the air system. Even my own footsteps felt too loud against the wood floor. I started unpacking boxes near the register. At first, it felt like any other retail job. Fold t-shirts, line up mugs, straighten postcards. Then I checked the security monitor. 4 camera angles. Cam 1, front counter empty. Cam 2, aisles still. Cam 3, backroom door shut. Cam 4, front mirrors, I froze. One of the mirrors was angled differently. In the reflection, I could see the far end of an aisle and someone standing there. Tall, still, head slightly tilted. I turned toward that aisle in real life. Empty. Just watched. I told myself it was a camera glitch, or maybe my own reflection at a strange angle. I adjusted the mirror back into its normal position and went back to stocking shelves. The rest of the night passed without anything major. But as I was locking up at dawn, I noticed something that made me pause. On the inside of the glass counter by the register, faint streaks, like someone had run their fingers lightly across it from the inside. I told myself the streaks were just left over from cleaning solution. I almost believed it. But when I came back for my second night shift, Harris didn't hand me the keys like before. He left them sitting on the counter instead, like he didn't want to get too close. He didn't say good luck. He didn't say have a good night. Just mirrors are already turned. Don't touch them. Then he walked out. The store felt colder that night. Not freezing, just enough to notice. The air smelled faintly sweet again, like fruit that had been sitting out just past. Everything was in place, until I checked the security monitor. Cam 1, front counter, fine. Cam 2, aisles, normal. Cam 3, backroom door, shut. Cam 4, front mirrors, the figure was back. This time it wasn't at the far end of the aisle. It was closer. Standing at the edge of the frame, angled slightly like it was leaning toward the glass. I turned toward the mirrors in the shop. Nothing. From here they showed only the normal reflection of the floor. But on the monitor, the figure stayed. And now, its head wasn't tilted. It was upright, watching. I tried to focus on work, but as I moved between aisles, things didn't look right. Do you want me to also... Here's the passively as you provided it, copied without changes. A postcard rack that should have been full was half empty. Mugs I had lined up perfectly yesterday were now scattered, some facing the wrong direction. I restocked them without thinking, then paused. One mug didn't have the Winchester design. It was just plain white with a single black letter. S. I set it aside, assuming it was some misprinted stock. But on the next shelf, there was another. T and another. By the time I reached the end of the aisle, I had a complete word. Stay. That's when I heard it. A faint sound from the back room. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps again. I froze. The back room door was still shut, but the handle was tilted just slightly, like it wasn't latched properly. By the third night, I wasn't pretending anymore. Something was wrong with this shop. I didn't know what. and I didn't want to know. But Harris kept giving me the same keys, the same warning. Don't move the mirrors. Don't open. He said it like instructions for staying alive. That night, the store didn't feel just cold. It felt aware, like the space itself was waiting for me. I started with inventory again, but I avoided the front mirrors. The less I looked at them, the better. Still, I checked the security monitor. Cam 1, counter, normal. Cam 2, aisles, normal. Cam 3, back room door, shut. Cam 4, front mirrors. The figure was gone. At first, I felt relief, until I noticed the door to the back room. On Cam 3, it wasn't shut. It was open just an inch. I turned toward the real door, still shut. But the handle was different tonight. It hung lower, as if pulled gently downward. That's when I heard it. Not the taps, a whisper. Too faint to understand, but enough to make my name surface in my head. Like someone was saying it from the other side of the door. I should have left it alone. But the handle shifted slightly, like it was waiting for me. I touched the keys Harris had given me. My hand felt colder, metallic, like before, but stronger. The light inside was wrong, dim yellow, flickering, like it was coming from somewhere deeper than a small storage room could hold. And there it was, against the far wall, a tall mirror, black wooden frame, carved with a pattern I didn't recognize. The glass reflected the gift shop, but not the one I was standing in. This one was darker, dustier, shelves stacked with old unfamiliar items, and in the reflection, the figure, closer than it had ever been, its head tilted slightly, not curious, watching. That's when the tapping began again. Not from the door this time, from inside the mirror. 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. I didn't tell Harris about the mirror. I wanted to, but I didn't know how to explain that the back room wasn't just storage anymore, that what I'd seen in the glass wasn't the shop I was standing in, that the figure was closer now and I could feel it waiting. By the 4th night, I noticed something before I even unlocked the door. The smell was stronger. Do you want me to also check tiếp phần tiếp theo của câu chuyện này nó có để bạn có chọn bộ luôn? Here's the path exactly as you provided it, copied without changes. I started my shift as usual. Front counter, inventory list. I didn't go near the back room, but halfway through my routine, something was different. The mugs I had lined up yesterday were all facing the wrong way. The postcards had moved from the 2nd aisle to the 4th. I thought maybe Harris had reorganized during the day shift, until I checked the security monitor. Cam 1, counter, fine. Cam 2, aisles, I froze. The aisles were moving, not being rearranged by someone. They were sliding silently into new positions. I turned to look in person. They were normal. But as I walked down one aisle, the shelves on either side shifted just slightly, enough that the space between them narrowed, then opened again when I passed. The smell was heavier here. It clung to my tongue, and then I saw it. At the end of the aisle, a mirror, not the one from the back room. This was one of the front mirrors, but it shouldn't be here. In the reflection of the shop floor, head no longer tilted. Still, upright, watching. I turned toward the shop floor, empty. When I looked back, the reflection had changed. On the glass, faint letters were smeared across the surface, like drawn by a wet finger. Stay. The shelves shifted again behind me, closing the space just a little more. The exit wasn't visible anymore, not from where I stood. By the 5th night, I had memorized the aisles, every mug, every t-shirt, every postcard rack, which made it impossible to ignore when something changed. I started my shift like usual. Keys, inventory, avoid the mirrors. The smell was there again, thicker now, like ripe fruit left in a warm room too long. Around 1:15 a.m., I was straightening the shelves near the center aisle when the front bell chimed. The door had opened. I froze. No one was supposed to be here. The gift shop was locked. I stepped toward the front counter. Someone was standing just inside the doorway. They looked tourist clothes, hat, a jacket I swear we didn't sell. But they didn't move, didn't look around. Just stood still, head slightly tilted, the same angle the figure in the mirrors had used. Sorry, we're closed, I said. My voice sounded too loud in the stillness. They didn't respond. I turned to grab the keys to check the door. When I looked back, the person was gone. I checked the security monitor. Cam 1, counter, empty. Cam 2, aisles, there they were, walking down the center aisle, but in the reflection of a mirror at the end of the aisle, their face wasn't visible. The reflection was just black. The bell chimed again. I spun toward the door. Another person had entered. Different clothes, same stillness, same silence. Over the next half hour, more came, each one silent, each one disappearing into an aisle without a sound. By 3 a.m., the shop felt colder. The aisles were darker, narrower, and from somewhere deeper in the store, I could hear faint tapping. Muốn mình chép luôn đoạn kết hoặc các phần tiếp theo nếu có để bạn có toàn bộ câu chuyện liền mạch không? Passage exactly as you provided it, copied without changes. Not from the back room this time. From the mirrors. I told myself I wouldn't go near the back room again. I told myself the visitors from the night before were tricks of the light, maybe stress from working alone. But on the 6th night, the shop didn't give me the choice. The moment I stepped inside, I noticed it. The smell wasn't faint anymore. It was strong, syrupy, heavy, almost making my stomach twist. And the air, it felt thicker, like stepping into a place that had been sealed for too long. I checked the security monitor out of habit. Cam 1, counter, fine. Cam 2, aisles, empty. Cam 3, back room door, my stomach dropped. It was open. In the real shop, I turned toward the back hallway. The door stood just slightly ajar, the same dim yellow light spilling out like last time, and from inside, 3 taps. Pause. 3 taps. I should have walked away. But the tapping didn't stop. It followed me. Stop. It followed me, soft but insistent, no matter where I moved on the floor. I stepped into the back room. The tall mirror wasn't against the far wall anymore. It was closer. So close I could see the carved details of the black frame clearly now, twisting shapes that almost looked like vines or something alive. The glass reflected the shop floor again, but this time there were people in it, standing between the aisles, perfectly still. They weren't in the real shop, only in the reflection, and in the center of them all. The figure, closer than ever. Not at the far end of the reflection anymore, at the front, head tilted forward, watching. The tapping came again, not from the room, from inside the glass. The mirror rippled slightly, not much, just enough to make the reflection shift like water. And the figure's hand moved, not in reality, only in the reflection. It was reaching forward. By the 7th night, the gift shop didn't wait for me to make mistakes. It had started to respond. The air hit me the second I unlocked the door, heavy, sweet, thick enough to taste, and the silence wasn't empty anymore. It felt like it was listening. The first sign came while I was at the counter sorting receipts, a faint creak, not from the front door, from the center aisle. I glanced at the security monitor. Cam 2, the aisles were moving again, but not sliding neatly like before. This time, they lurched. One shelf tilted sideways, spilling mugs in slow motion as if gravity was hesitating. I turned toward the real aisle. Perfectly neat. But when I took a step forward, the floor under me didn't feel right. Not solid wood. It felt soft, like walking on something stretched tight. The smell thickened. The aisles began shifting around me. I moved quickly toward the exit, but with each turn, the shelves seemed to bend into new shapes, twisting the layout into paths I didn't recognize. I checked the monitor again. The front mirrors now Here's the path exactly as you provided it, copied without changes. The aisles now formed a narrow path, leading directly toward the mirror. The path between the aisles narrowed as I moved. I didn't choose my direction. The shop chose for me. Every turn bent inward, shelves leaning just enough to block alternate routes, until the only clear line was toward the black-framed mirror now standing in open floor space like it had always been there. The smell was nearly suffocating now, sweet, thick, and wrong. Every breath felt heavier, and beneath it, I heard them. Not the taps, not whispers. Footsteps, but too light to be real, more like the sound of someone pacing just on the other side of glass. The figure in the mirror was waiting, not moving. Just there, full height now, frame almost touching the glass as though ready to step through. The carved black edges of the mirror twisted faintly, shadows bending in unnatural ways. Behind me, the shelves groaned, then some cutting off the view to the front door. The shop was no longer pretending to be a store. It was a funnel. I stepped closer to the mirror without meaning to. The surface rippled, not like water this time, but like something breathing. And for the first time, the figure in the reflection raised its hand, palm outward, inviting. The footsteps stopped, the silence thickened, and then a sharp crack behind me. Another aisle folding shut. I had no choice. I stepped into the mirror. It was cold, but not like ice. It was the kind of cold that pulled the breath from my chest in a single motion, like stepping into air that wasn't meant to be breathed. The glass closed behind me. The shop was gone. Ahead was a different gift shop. Same shelves, same walls, but darker. Dust on every surface. Products I didn't recognize, some so old they looked hand-carved. And everywhere, faint movement just at the edges of sight. The figure wasn't ahead of me anymore. It was beside me. The air in here felt stale. Dust covered the shelves. Labels on the products were written in faded ink, not printed. And every piece of merchandise was wrong. Handmade dolls with button eyes, postcards of a Winchester house I didn't recognize, and mugs, white, single black letters. This time they spelled nothing I could read. The aisles here didn't just bend, they curved. Each turn led to another row, deeper and deeper into a shop that couldn't possibly fit inside the real one. I kept moving, telling myself I just needed to find the mirror that would take me back. That's when I saw them. The employees. They wore the same green aprons Harris gave us. Their name tags were tarnished, some letters unreadable. At first, I thought they were mannequins standing perfectly still between the shelves. Then one of them turned. Her eyes were glassy, her smile too wide, stretching as if it hurt. They didn't blink. They didn't talk. They just stepped aside, creating gaps in the aisle, guiding me. And with each black framed, rippling faintly, reflecting not me, but other people. Past employees, the visitors from my earlier nights, they were all here. One mirror showed the gift shop I'd left, empty. But in the reflection at the counter, Harris stood perfectly still. He looked up, right at me, and smiled. Behind me, the sound of footsteps, slow, deliberate. The figure, closer than it had ever been. The footsteps didn't speed up, they didn't need to. They matched mine perfectly. Every aisle curved back toward the same spot. A single floating mirror, black framed, its surface rippling faintly. It didn't show the dusty, impossible shop I was standing in. It showed the real gift shop, the one I'd left. Empty. I stepped toward it, but the employees shifted behind me, not blocking my way, just watching. Here's the path exactly as you provided it, copied without changes. Their glassy eyes never blinked, their wide smiles never faltered, and when I looked too long at one of them, their faces blurred. Not distorted, just wrong, like they didn't belong on the heads they were attached to. The footsteps grew closer. I didn't turn around. I knew if I saw the figure's face now, I wouldn't move at all. The mirror's surface was cold as I reached it. Not just to my hand. I felt it in my chest, like my breath froze for a second. It rippled beneath my touch, and then it pulled. I stumbled forward. The cold vanished. I was standing in the real gift shop again. The aisles were neat. The air was normal. No dust, no wrong products, no silent employees, just the faint hum of the lights overhead. For a second, I thought I'd imagined it all, until I saw the counter glass. My reflection looked back, But it wasn't exact. The eyes. For just a moment, they were darker, and they didn't blink when I did. I finished my shift in silence. At dawn, Harris came in as usual. He didn't look rule card again. "Now you understand," he said quietly. "Don't work alone again." I still take the night shift sometimes, but I keep the mirrors turned, and every time I see my reflection in the counter glass, I check to make sure it blinks when I do. It's been weeks since that night. I tell myself I'm fine, that everything I saw was just the building, the stress, the silence, but every time I work the shift, something's off. The aisles are always in the right place now. The smell is gone. But the mirrors, they still don't feel like glass. Last night, I was counting mugs near the counter when I saw Harris in the reflection behind me. He was leaning on the doorframe, smiling faintly. When I turned around, no one was there. I check the security cameras now more than I should. Cam 1, counter, empty. Cam 2, aisles, still. Cam 3, back room, door shut. Cam 4, front mirrors, I freeze. Someone is standing in the reflection, head tilt. Only this time, they're wearing my clothes. I haven't told Harris. I don't think I will. Some rules are just there to keep you breathing, and I'm not sure which side of the glass I'm on anymore. Bạn muốn mình chép lại toàn bộ câu chuyện này từ đầu đến cuối thành một file hoàn chỉnh, mạch liền.